This video will cover the installation steps for the Brizo Mystix Transcendent system, which includes the steam generator, the control panel, and the steam head. The Transcendent system is available with a classic square or bilateral steam head. While similar in function, the installation steps do differ slightly, and we'll cover both of those. Before we begin, it's important to cover a few key items to help ensure that your installation will go smoothly. Keep in mind that building codes are different everywhere, so be sure to follow any guidelines and requirements for your area while installing the system. This installation may require a licensed plumber and electrician based on the local codes of the installation location. A few considerations when designing the steam system. It's important that the shower area or steam room be completely enclosed to retain steam. The walls and ceiling must be tiled, insulated, and waterproof. The enclosure door needs a continuous seal within the enclosure. However, a small gap at the bottom of the door, of about a ½ inch or less, is recommended for additional airflow. Be sure to review the installation guide for the system to ensure that proper clearances, locations, and requirements are accommodated for in the areas the installation of the steam generator, the control panel, and the steam head are planned for. Confirm that the installation location to install the steam generator has access to a 208 or 240 volt circuit to power the unit, as well as a nearby water supply stop. Finally, confirm that all necessary components have been purchased, which includes the control and steam head package, as well as the Brizo steam generator. This video will cover the installation of the 15 kilowatt Brizo steam generator, but the installation process is the same for all Brizo generator sizes and models. The video will also cover the installation of the optional generator pan and auto drain. While these are not required components, they are strongly recommended. The first steps in the installation happen during the rough framing phase. It's important to consider the layout of the steam system early in construction so the plumbing and electrical requirements can be installed properly. In this enclosure, the main showering components are on the sidewall and a built-in bench is installed. Next, determine the location of the steam head. It is important to note that the steam head will become hot and therefore should be located a fair distance away from the user while in use to minimize the chance for any accidental contact. The steam head should also not be located directly below the showering components because steam rises and could cause those components to become hot to the touch. At this point, you should also consider the location of the control panel. The control panel must be installed inside the enclosure. It should not be installed above the steam head, but rather on the opposite or adjacent wall, as far away from the steam outlet. Make sure to place it in a convenient spot to the user so that it can be easily accessed while enjoying the steam system. Finally, the steam control should be mounted approximately 48 inches off of the finished floor to ensure optimal operation of the system. The steam generator can be located inside of a closet, in an insulated attic or basement, or even inside a vanity as long as it is accessible and maintains the minimum clearances as noted in the installation guide. The steam pipe that connects to the steam head inside of the enclosure to the generator should be 25 feet or less for optimum performance, but may be up to 50 feet max. And the control cable that connects the control panel inside the enclosure to the steam generator needs to be 70 feet or less. Note, if the control cable exceeds 35 feet, a power booster is required to provide the necessary power boost for the longer cable run. Run a dedicated 208 or 240 volt circuit from the breaker box to the steam generator. It is also important to provide a disconnect at the installation location, as well as a conduit and wire to serve the final electrical supply line to the generator. Run the control cable inside conduit near the steam generator to the location chosen for the control panel inside the enclosure. This will make connecting the steam generator to the control panel with the included control cable much easier in a later step. If you are installing the optional audio, aroma, or chromotherapy options, ensure a 120 volt outlet is available, as well as pre-run the speaker wires from this location to where the speakers will be located within the enclosure. Provide a water stub out near the generator, which will supply the unit with water. This stub out can be either cold or hot. Next, run a 3/4 inch copper line from the steam generator location to the steam head location inside of the enclosure. Do not use a black iron, or a galvanized pipe, because those could rust and discolor not only the steam head, but also the shower enclosure. If you're using a classic square steam head, ensure the end of the steam pipe inside of the enclosure has an adapter to later add an appropriate nipple when installing the steam head once the enclosure is finished out. If you are installing the bilateral steam head, you'll need to install it while the steam room is down to the studs. To use a bilateral steam head, make sure the steam room wall studs are exposed to allow for proper installation. If the walls are fully finished and studs not accessible, you'll need to use a different type of steam head. For maximum comfort, the bilateral steam head should always be located as far from the seating area as possible. The bilateral steam head location should be 12 inches to 18 inches above the shower floor, or 6 inches above the rim of the bathtub. Do not install the steam head directly below the user control. For optimal performance, install the steam head on the wall opposite or adjacent and as far as possible from the user control. For mounting the steam head, place the bilateral steam head between wall studs at the optimal location. Make sure that the front lip is placed in such a way that it will be flush with the final wall material such as tile or stone. If you are uncertain of the tile stone thickness at the time of install, the front lip of the steam head may be slightly recessed back into the wall, but must not be placed behind backer board and cannot protrude past the front of the tile or finished stone. Make sure the bilateral steam head is level, left to right, and front to back. Then secure the bilateral steam head to wall studs using 8 screws or nails. Connect the 3/4 inch copper or brass pipe to the steam head. Then remove the front face cover by sliding it out of the steam head. At this point, you'll complete the installation of the steam head once your tile or finishing materials in your steam room is complete. Make sure to leave a proper size cutout in the backer board for the bilateral steam head. Do not leave a large gap between the backer board and the steam head. Apply supplied sealant between the backer board and the outer edge of the steam head. Make sure to leave a proper size cutout in the tile stone for the bilateral steam head. Do not leave a large gap between the tile stone and the steam head. Apply supplied sealant between the tile stone and the outer edge of the steam head. It's important to make sure there are absolutely no air gaps between the outer edges of the bilateral steam head and the final wall material. If air gaps are left, steam will leak between wall construction and cause water damage. Review the installation guide for the exact locations and specifications required for the steam generator being installed. An important thing to remember is that the steam line should have a slight pitch to it, either back towards the generator, which is preferred, or towards the shower itself. This pitch will help to ensure that no condensation ends up trapped in the line. Also, it is recommended to insulate the line with insulation rated for 212 degrees Fahrenheit, 100 degrees Celsius, to ensure that the unit is operating at maximum efficiency. Finally, if installing the optional generator pan and auto drain, a drain must be installed at this location. Even if the drain pan or auto drain is not being installed, it is still recommended to add a drain to this location to make maintenance easier, and it also may be required by building codes. If installing the optional steam generator pan, place it in the steam generator installation location, ensuring that the drain hole of the pan is in a position to allow for the easy draining of any water into the floor drain the plumbing team previously installed. Next, the steam generator can be set into position, centering it on the pan, if using one. Now that the generator is in place, confirm that the generator is meeting all required clearances around the unit as outlined within the installation booklet, and that the generator is level. Next, double-check the electrical rough ends, making sure that the power supply cable and conduit have plenty of slack to make the connection from the disconnect to the generator itself, and that the control cable and conduit has plenty of slack to connect to the back of the steam generator and the control panel inside the enclosure. For the plumbing rough-ins, confirm that a supply line can be easily connected from the water supply stop to the steam generator. Check the steam pipe, making sure that the steam pipe coming out of the wall is roughly in line with the output pipe on the steam generator itself. The union between the steam pipe coming out of the wall and the pipe running into the generator will make it easy to remove the unit in the future for maintenance or replacement. If installing the optional auto drain, make sure that the black arrow with the word flow on the bottom of the auto drain is pointed away from the steam generator. The auto drain is installed below the steam output of the steam generator and should have a little bit of a negative pitch away from the unit because it uses gravity to drain water from the unit. This will help to ensure the water will be able to run away from the generator and not back to the unit itself. Before making any final connections, verify that the local electrical disconnect for the power that's going to be supplying the steam generator is completely shut off. With the auto drain now installed to the bottom of the steam generator, run the power cables through the included conduit and through a bottom knockout on the unit. Once inside, connect them to the respective lugs on the control panel of the steam generator. Next, run the control cable that connects the control panel inside of the enclosure through a 3/4 inch conduit, through one of the knockouts located on the top left side of the steam generator, using a strain relief clamp to protect the cord. Finally, the main power line and conduit from the disconnect is routed through the pipe side knockout on the generator, and then connect the 2 power wires and ground wire to the respective lugs inside of the steam generator. Connect the steam line from the wall to the generator using a union, and provide and connect a 3/4 inch pipe to the pressure relief valve to direct it into the pan or into the floor drain itself. With any drain from the steam generator, it is important to maintain an air gap below the bottom of the pipe and whatever it's draining into. Make sure that the air gap is at least double the diameter of the drain pipe. Once all of the plumbing and electrical connections are complete, place the cover panel back on the steam generator. Once you've completed the wall construction with thinset and tile stone, you're ready to complete the installation of the steam head. Insert the front face cover back into the bilateral steam head. Push it in until it makes contact with the wall. Apply dabs of supplied sealant between the left and right edges of the front face cover and the wall tile stone to make sure the cover does not slide out. A single bead of sealant can fill gaps up to 1/4 inch. If the gap is slightly larger than this, fill it in 2 steps. First, place a bead of sealant deeper into the gap, but not flush with the surface. Wait until the sealant is completely cured based on the manufacturer's instructions before coming back to run a second bead on top of the first bead. The square steam head comes in 2 pieces. It has the threaded head that threads onto the pipe and a back plate. At this point, consider how the steam is going to enter the enclosure. The default setup for the steam head is to emit steam in all 4 directions: top, bottom, left, and right. However, one can install up to 3 diverter plates onto the back of the steam head to control the direction the steam is delivered. To install a diverter plate, attach in the orientation you wish to restrict the flow of steam and fasten it in place using 2 small corner screws on the back of the steam head. The small essential oil reservoir on the steam head always faces up. It can be used as a reference point when attaching any required diverter plates. Once any required diverter plates are installed, one can dry fit the steam head in the enclosure. Hold the back plate over the threaded nipple, fitting tight against the enclosure wall. Then, thread the steam head onto the end of your threaded pipe, ensuring that the steam head is in the correct orientation once tightened against your enclosure. If the orientation of the steam head is incorrect when tight against the wall, and the essential oil reservoir isn't at the top, you can adjust the threading of the steam head by removing the 3 larger screws on the back of the steam head, rotating the threaded piece 120 degrees in either direction, and reattaching with the screws. Once happy with the dry fit of the steam head, remove it from the threaded nipple fitting and prepare for final install. Add thread tape to the end of the nipple fitting, as well as a continuous bead of silicone caulk to the back side of the back plate. Place a bead of silicone around the pipe, sealing the pipe to the wall. With everything ready to go, hold the back plate centered over the threaded nipple and press firmly against the enclosure wall, ensuring the plate is level and plumb. Next, carefully thread on the steam head to the end of the nipple fitting for the final time, hand tightening it down. It's important to only use hands for this step, as using any tools could over-tighten the connection and cause damage to the steam head. Once in place, give a final check to make sure the essential oil reserve on the steam head is facing straight up, that the back plate is sitting tight against the finished surface of the enclosure and is level and plumb. Once complete, clean off any silicone sealant that may have squeezed out from around the back plate when you pushed it against the wall, and allow ample time for the silicone to cure, according to the manufacturer's instructions. Note, a silicone cover is provided and should be installed to protect against accidental contact with the hot surface temperature of the steam head. First, drill the hole in the shower enclosure wall for the control panel at the correct size as directed by the installation booklet's instructions. To install the control panel, take the coupler and connect one end of it to the control cable coming out of the wall. Listen for a snap to ensure you've made a good connection. Once complete, take the cable coming out of the back of the control panel and snap it into the other side of the coupler. Next, test the system to make sure it looks like everything's functioning correctly. Turn on the power and water supply to the steam generator. Once the system is started up, the screen will show the system load and arrive at a menu screen. Confirm the steam system is working using the control panel to test the system's functionality. The digital interface can be installed in the landscape or portrait orientation. While it can be installed in either direction, it is possible to install the control panel upside down, so be sure to hold it in the position you want to install it and verify that the menu is displaying correctly. Next, flip the panel over and remove the tape covering the adhesive on the back of the control panel. Add silicone adhesive to the back of the control panel. Make sure to get a continuous bead along the outer edge of the back of the control panel, keeping a small gap between the adhesive and the edge of the control panel. The silicone sealant will help to ensure a watertight seal between the outside of the control panel and the enclosure wall. Once ready, start fitting the unit into the hole. Be sure to keep an eye on orientation and carefully feed the control cord back behind the wall and push it against the wall to ensure full connection between the adhesive, the silicone, and the wall. Clean up any excess silicone that may have squeezed out from behind the control panel while it was pushed into place, and give it plenty of time to cure according to the manufacturer's instructions. Congratulations on installing the Brizo Transcendent steam system. Before use, double-check that all connections have been made and the power and water supplies to the generator are both on. As always, if you have any additional questions, be sure to reach out to the Brizo Mystix Steam Concierge team. Also, be sure to check out our other videos for instructions on setting up and using the control panel, as well as using the additional spa options, such as the aromatherapy, chromotherapy, and audiotherapy features.